Recently, Ginny D had this to say in response to this other clip.
You're only one away. I love to make a little bargain.
Saying I can have a bargain to get one more point on the die.
Oh, sure. Why don't you make me an offer, Alex? What will you give me for a 20?
About which Ginny said, I had never seen a DM openly negotiate the outcome of a roll with a player. This is not about taking every excuse to ignore the rules. You definitely don't want to start undercutting the game by offering bargains willy-nilly. These moments should be pretty rare. Like so many tools in storytelling, these bargains work best when used sparingly. If every failed roll becomes a negotiation, then pretty soon negotiations become the norm, and you've lost the thing that made them exciting in the first place. And I really have to disagree. Provided that bargains are interesting, they will always be interesting, no matter how many are made in a game. But I know what you're thinking.
Who the f is this guy?
Hi, I'm Will. I've been a dungeon master for over 15 years. I worked on the Elder Scrolls Online for 13 years, and I'm a game designer and published author. And before I dig deeper into the bone I have to pick with Ginny D, look. A lot of folks have been talking recently about DungeonTube's death. Everyone from cancer-defeating nutty professors, to glampers, to Wyloch. And well, you know what? One thing at a time. We'll come back to the death of DungeonTube in a few minutes. Sorry to bait you, but I don't actually have a huge bone to pick with Ginny. Not exactly. I do disagree with her. She's awesome. We all love Ginny. To recap a bit more. No, I won't subject you to me in a wig anymore, right now. But to recap, Ginny's thoughts are that overusing deals and bargains with your players will result in those deals feeling perfunctory instead of special, and, well, I just can't get behind this. To explain why I feel that way, we need to dig into the history of deal-making in tabletop RPGs. And to talk about that, we need to talk about fae, devils, and demons. From the beginning, the trope of making a fae bargain or a deal with the devil has been pervasive in D&D. But you might be surprised that if we flip through the classes in these editions, we don't find the Warlock until we get to 4th edition in 2008. Between 3.5 and 4, we had this delightful gem, the Book of Vile Darkness. In here, we have, well, we'll skip past the Cancer Mage. We have the Demonologist and the Diabolist. These prestige classes are the first glimmers of what would eventually become the Warlock. That was in 2002. The Warlock class first appears in Complete Arcane in late 2004. Few remember just how new the Warlock is to D&D. Before this, pacts with devils and demons were entirely role-playing focused affairs. Well, almost. D&D is so dominant in the discourse of what TTRPGs are that we often overlook the rest of the industry when discussing where ideas come from. While D&D only got a Warlock class for the first time in 2008, other games have had pacts with demons for ages. Ron Edwards created Sorcerer in 1996, and it's a game entirely about summoning and binding demons to use for pact magic and more. By the way, there's an annotated version of Sorcerer out there which gives designers a rare snapshot of someone criticizing his own work in detail. Why should you care? If you've heard of TTRPGs being broken down into gamism, narrativism, and simulationism, well, that was Ron. I'm sure we'll talk more about GNS theory and how it shaped the industry in a future video. In 2003, we got the original Fate. Fate represents a sea change in TTRPG history. If games before Fate were predominantly gamist or simulationist, Fate ushered in the next age of TTRPGs, making them narrativist. Right up until and beyond 5e, and more accurately Stranger Things and Critical Role, brought so much new blood. And it is here, fatefully, we see the origin of what Aabria does in her games. You see, Fate has a mechanism within called compel. And well, let's read this together. Quote, "Sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation where an aspect complicates your character's life and creates unexpected drama. Aspects in Fate are a key term. They are elements in your character, or in this case about things in a scene. Quote, when that happens, the GM will suggest a potential complication that might arise. This is called a compel," end quote. This is exactly what Aabria is doing. She's noticing something in the scene, the characters or the situation, and making a compel, offering the player a deal. Sometimes that's in character, sometimes it's meta, sometimes it straddles both, if they are ludonarratively consonant. Sorry, game design term. If the gameplay mechanisms and the story align. I'm sure this idea predated Fate, but Fate is where it entered the larger zeitgeist of game design usage. After this, you see it popping up in narrativist games, which were the era's most popular. Eventually, GNS fell out of favor, and by the time 4E was out, hybrid models had already begun to replace it. Apocalypse World in 2010 codified those feelings into a game that didn't cleanly fit into GNS at all. If Aabria got what she does from somewhere, it was probably Blades in the Dark. Blades has a system called the Devil's Bargain. Quote, "The GM or any other player can offer you a bonus die if you accept a Devil's Bargain," end quote. It lists a bunch of options, and most of the examples, Ginny, that you show us where Aabria uses this technique are directly covered by the list. Quote, "There might not be an interesting Devil's Bargain in every situation. If one doesn't occur to anyone right away, that's fine," end quote. The implication is that these bargains ought to happen all the time. This brings us to that bone. From Fate to Blades, these deals are meant to be commonplace, not exciting and rare exceptions. Yeah, if we're playing D&D, we shouldn't remake the whole game around bargains to the neglect of the systems that make the game work. But as long as the deals are interesting, there isn't some limit to how exciting they can be. No matter how many times we roll a natural 20 in D&D, it is always exciting. It never gets boring because the game design ensures that rolling a nat 20 is exciting. Recently, more than 100 of us were let go from our jobs working on the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm restarting this channel because I always wanted to, and now I've gotten the kick in the pants I needed. My plan is to build a TTRPG in which making deals with fate is the core mechanism of the game. This channel will be, as it has been today, about TTRPG game design. Think Mystic Arts, but for designing games instead of being a great dungeon master. Or Pointy Hat, but instead of D&D classes, we're discussing mechanisms for game design overall. There will be a lot of crossover, for sure, and even if you aren't interested in making your own games, understanding how TTRPGs are created will help you better understand how to homebrew your own games. So how might that look? How might deals with the devil form the backbone of a whole game? When you are adding in a deal to an existing game, the particulars aren't very important. A one-off or two-off deal with the GM will be accepted by the players without concern. But when it is the game's primary mechanism, the players are going to want to know that the GM can't just do whatever they want, whenever they want. For me, this means that the players need to be the ones that initiate the deals. When backed into a corner, the players can turn to the GM and ask, "If I end up alerting the guards, can I scale this wall to get into the compound?" And from there, the GM can accept the deal or counter, "Yes, but that's not enough. You'll also twist your ankle when you land inside. Do we have a deal?" This simple interaction, codified and wrapped up with some other procedures, can form the core of an entire game. How? Well, that's going to have to wait for another video. I promised to talk about the death of DungeonTube. There have been a lot of videos from multiple corners of the hobby lately, and while, yes, that kind of video is great for clicks, I want to offer a perspective I don't think I've seen much. Though Dungeon Craft's Professor DM's response to this comment here about what is so great about Mystic Arts gets close to it. What self-important bloviator even left this comment? Oh! Production value has been increasing on YouTube, and recently, many of the actions the platform is taking to fight back against slop channels are negatively impacting some of DungeonTube. This community has always been more about the subject of videos than about their production. But I think that's going to have to change to get the attention of modern viewers. I expect that as AI videos become harder and harder to spot on the platform, people will naturally gravitate away from videos that could have been made with AI. Explainers with no talking head, big lore videos, news content, ramble videos, surface level video essays. This is the kind of content that I think will become less rewarded on the platform. On top of that, people have less money and less time than they did during the pandemic. And the constant depressing news out of D&D land makes people want to turn off rather than engage. Videos can't just be about 5e anymore and capture the whole audience. The OGL debacle has fragmented the core into a dozen little fiefdoms. The rise of Mystic Arts over the last year wasn't a fluke, but a calculated plan. Isn't that right, Ginny? You've got problems, Will. Just stop it. Get some help. Thanks, everyone. I've been Will Brawl. Please like the video no matter how you felt about it, and tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. I'll agree with you. And if you want more design tips about deals, check out Dadi's video on Fey bargains and why players won't make them.